So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and properly seconded that we approve the regular meeting minutes from January 25th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. May I have a motion to approve the meeting of the special meeting from the County Council January 25th?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Berry, seconded by Mr. Edens, that we approve the special meeting minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Special meeting minutes are approved. Land use matters, Ms. Rudman, RZ 2126.
We start the, there you go. RZ 2126 is at 4065 Country Lane. The applicant is James Aaron Dyson, the property owner. This is a request to rezone an approximately 5.8 acre tract from general residential to agricultural conservation. The property has some significant road frontage along South St. Paul's Church Road with some frontage on Country Lane. This is a little bit north of the intersection of St. Paul's Church Road and McCrae's Mill Road. Currently, the property is heavily wooded, but there is some limited residential development around it. The applicant initially acquired the property for residential development. It is zoned for general residential, which does have residential entitlement, but this land does not perk well enough to support more houses on it than what Mr. Dyson was able to construct, which would be that small corner that you see out of the bottom. The reason that he is requesting to rezone this property is he intends to attempt to create mini storage facilities on the property. The least intense zoning district that can be requested to do that is the Agricultural Conservation Zoning District. That is what this request is all about. When we look at rezoning requests, we look at what the comprehensive land use plan designation for the property is. In this case, it is in the suburban development planning area, which generally is not supportive of downzoning the property to a less intense district, but because it's also across the street from the military protection planning area, it is influenced by those policies and procedures as well, which is supportive of residential densities and developments of 1 unit or more per, greater than 1 unit per acre, which would be larger lots or a better deal. It is also in the point set range compatibility district, so it is in a noise notification zone. Although this is not immediately adjacent to Shaw Air Force Base, this is in the flight path between Shaw and the point set electronic combat range, so it is susceptible to noise from the jets flying over. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request. The request is generally consistent with the policies and procedures and goals of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Additionally, the lack of perking on the property really doesn't make it suitable for the density of development the general residential district would permit. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions on this room?
Move for approval first reading. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we have first reading on RZ 2126. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? First reading of RZ 2126 is approved. Third reading, RZ 2124.
There have been no changes to this request since second reading.
Approval.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on RZ 2124. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? Third reading of RZ 2124 is approved.
Thank you.
The old business ordinance number 22971, second reading. Mr. Bryan.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, you have first reading on title only, so this is the first opportunity to read the substance of the actual ordinance itself. But to make a long story short, what you have before you is an ordinance that repeals Ordinance 11-740 that established the current district and would put into place the districts that are shown on the map that you saw earlier this afternoon. That map is dated for the record February 7th, 2022. So that's what you're looking at for second reading. It may change between now and third reading, but that's the map that you're passing second reading.
That's what's being displayed here, Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
It is.
Okay.
It is. I see the date on it.
Yes.
6/7/22.
Okay.
Move approval second reading. Second.
We moved and properly seconded that we have second reading for ordinance 22-971. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Come down to committee reports. We did have a special meeting of Sumter County Council today. We discussed two items. One was an executive session where we discussed some of the technical progress projects. No action was taken. The first item that we discussed was this rezoning, which is subject to change. No action was taken. Are there any reports from council members on other meetings, trainings, and/or conferences?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to be recognized at the appropriate time to make some comments.
Go ahead, Mr. White.
As you know, Mr. Chairman and members of council, the litter issue has been forefront to me since I have come on this council. And I know that we have a quote-unquote litter committee. I know that we have a representative from council who serves on that committee. And I am beginning to become a little frustrated with how quickly the litter committee is addressing the litter issue. I've raised this in prior council meetings. I've not seen a report from the litter committee with a plan to begin addressing litter to council. And so at this point, I think in order to move the ball, what I would like to see happen is if a representative from the litter committee, or maybe our representative from council, might want to brief us on their progress and take questions, because I do have some questions. So this is a request for me, and if it needs to go to a vote, I'm happy to make the motion. But I would like to see the litter committee in front of us.
Mr. Chairman. I actually had to meet our two new litter officers recently. We understand they're gonna be class 3 deputies, is that correct? That's how they're gonna be writing tickets. I know one I seen on Facebook has picked up a lot of trash lately, but it'd be nice to know the process we're going. If like a complaint comes to me, how I would handle it. That's all I would like to know. I know she's done a lot, and he has done a lot already. I don't want to dwell on this, but I know I just met him yesterday, so I know we're making progress with you.
Yes, Councilman Bird addressed your short answer to your question is contact Public Works.
Okay.
If you have somebody in an area that will identify the issue and determine what's the best approach of action by either the litter officers or maybe some other agent of the county.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could just push a little bit further. Will the litter committee have control of the county litter truck, the city litter truck? And so what process should be used if, there's an area that I'm sorry, if there's an area that needs immediate attention, since apparently the litter committee is not accepting that kind of interaction yet, how does that work? Because I do have several issues in District 1, and particularly in all the rural areas, because we don't have trash pickup in most of those rural areas. So people carry their trash to trash recyclable. And without it being tarped, there's a lot of trash on the roads. If you go up 521 North toward Kershaw, it is not impressive. In areas around 521, like off Dinkins Mill Road, Spencer Road, where the trash receptacles are. You know, we have been talking about a litter committee for a long time, and they've been doing planning for a long time. But I gotta tell you, I have not seen any action by the committee. And I would like to see some action, and I would also like to see them appear before this body, because I do have questions.
Mr. Chair, if I could request Councilman Washington, if he would just set up a time and you and I can have a conversation and figure out what's the best approach. There are a couple of different avenues, the function of the litter advisory board, and then of course the function of our county organization and our abilities within. But certainly I would like to have an in-depth conversation with you individually and see how we might be able to address at least some, if not all of your concerns. I'll be glad to do that.
Mr. Chairman, we can move on from that issue, but I do have another issue I want to raise, and I'm not sure how we want to address it, but it's related to the homeless issue. I've got some calls about it, other council members have got some calls about it. I know that there were 12 individuals living behind the Walmart, and they have been asked to remove themselves. I saw an article in the paper and a comment, and the comment was not from any of our folks at the county, but the comment was made that we'll buy them a ticket, kind of indicating that, you know, we'll buy you a ticket and you leave. I think it's fine for us to be prepared to help people leave if they want to. I'm just not comfortable with making that kind of statement publicly to our people, particularly when you're not saying in conjunction, we're sending services to see what we can do to help. And we have a lot of organizations and agencies that can help, starting with churches and ending with organizations that we fund as a council that do that kind of work. And I'd like to know what these organizations are doing to help out. A lot of these organizations have heated space. I understand these people are living out there in the weather. It's freezing. And we're one Sumter. Our organizations should be in tune with attempting to provide service, whether it's mental health services, whether it's job services, whether it's replacement services. These are things that we should be invested in. It's only 12 people. And so I'd like to know if there is anything we can do to assist these people. And if the last resort or if their preference is for them to have a purchase ticket, then I think that's fine. But I just want to be clear that that comment did not sit well with me when it was made. And it doesn't represent this council. As I said, it wasn't made by someone from the county, but it does not represent how I feel, and I don't think it represents how the rest of this council feels. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Monthly reports, Ms. Brandy?
First one is the zoning board of appeals, and the next meeting, of course, is tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. in case you're interested in attending that meeting. In your COVID report this time, Ms. Rudman also gave us some additional information, so council members can look at that if they'd like. and the report is right behind it. The Sheriff's Department report is in your packet as well. Just a second, before I jump to that. But also you have the South Carolina Association of Counties Mid-Year Conference. I have approximately 3 reservations or registrations already done. And if anyone else is interested in participating in that, please let me know. Council members also, there's a tour on Friday the 18th in Columbia, and if any of you all are planning to participate in that, please let me know tonight. And also on this coming Thursday at 12:30 at USC Sumter, the Sumter School District will have a search committee speaking with council members and other officials at that particular meeting. If you're interested in participating, please let me know that as well. Thank you.
County Administrator's report, Mr. Mixon.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and council members. One quick item. I think at the last meeting, as you know, we received our report on the audit. And we talked about at that time, there are 2 major seasons for our finance department: audit, which we just concluded, and then the budget, which is the second part. We are now moving into the budget process. Just want council to be aware. So we are now reaching out to all the county departments, requesting for their information regarding the 2023 budget. That will go on from the month of February, and then in March we'll start scheduling individual meetings with those departments as they request them with the administrator, myself, and the finance team. In April is when we'll start having the workshops with county council to start reviewing that information, and then the first meeting in May is when we propose to have first reading, second reading, the second meeting in May, and third and hopefully final meeting on the budget, the first meeting in June. So we have a approved budget by July. So I just wanted to inform council of the schedule. Again, the process has now started, so I'm sure we will be having meetings with council throughout these next couple of months on the budget. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Come now to the public comment section.
Mr. Chairman, before we proceed, please, Mr. Administrator, did you get a coroner's report this time? Is it?
No, sir. Thank you, Mary. Or Helen, did you corner this time?
Let me see.
My contact with the coroner's office actually himself is recovering from illness, so I have not had an opportunity to get updated numbers.
Okay.
We will have all of that updated for you at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Come now to the public comment section of our program. Citizens desiring to speak to council are limited to 3 minutes. Please make your comments through the chair. I declare the public comment section open. Anyone desiring to speak to council, please proceed to the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening, council members. I'm Samuel Myers, a member of this community, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to come forward and share just a few minutes of a major concern. In a few days, we're going to be funeralizing one of our students who was making an attempt to cross Highway 378. I'm sure you've heard about that, and it's very near and dear to myself because in that Walnut Hill community, that's where I grew up. And there are a number of folks who are in that area. They know about the different things that have been happening. I know that Ms. Vivian McGaney has been constantly trying to push forward that over a period of time, and had that conversation with her. But one of the major things that I've been looking at and trying to make sure that that we are aware of it, I started checking with the State Highway Patrol and got some statistics in reference to how many deaths have occurred from just trying to make their way across. In 2016, there were 5 deaths. In 2020, there were 3. The majority of those were persons trying to cross over, and a couple of those may have been from accidents that may have occurred. I asked them to get me additional information that would go back 20 years, 30 years, just to show how long this has been happening. And the only thing that has occurred was a sign that says you can't cross over. I think there's something that's very important here that we need to try to come up with some other solutions until we can get to that big picture where folks are saying we need to put a crosswalk or a bridge that's going to take us from point A to point B. That's the big piece of the picture. But I think others have been saying put up fencing. If we put up fencing, folks are going to jump over the fence. But if we block the folks from coming from the Walnut Hill community or from the side from Pike Road getting over, we're going to find that they don't have the resources on the opposite side. That's why they're crossing the road. You know, that old adage about why did the chicken cross the road just to get to the other side, but they're trying to get to the other side to get to the resources. Think about it. Nothing is over on the other side. No stores, no health facilities, etc. So we have a big picture here to take a look at. Before my time expires, I want to share a couple of other things. If we are looking at some changes, once they drop the bridge heading west on 378, let's change the speed zone in that area, slow it down, because cars travel along there 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. And some folks trying to cross over cannot judge how fast a car may be going. That's just one thing, but if we do that, that means we're going to have to pick up the patrolman in that area to monitor what's going on. Another piece is to check with RTA to see if there are other routes that can be run, extended routes that can be run on that side to transport folks across instead of them trying to cross over. And one other piece, that piece about constructing the bridge, that's a big picture. That's something that has to happen at some point because there are other communities around the state that has completed that process. So I say very clearly that in years past, yes, I've been one of the ones crossing over because instead of having to walk all the way around by McLaughlin Ford or go all the way around the other direction, we cut across. But we've been safe. Others have not been. So with our younger folks who feel there's a quick fix by running across, we need your assistance in helping to boost whatever needs to be done. Some of the things that I mentioned are some things that can be done within the snap of a finger. There are some things that we're going to have to take a look at as well that's going to cost. And you know, when folks say that, well, it's too costly, but then again, there are other things that are happening in the city that cost, and funds are found for those kinds of things. I don't want us to get into the point where we're getting into a food desert, where that's another story, and we can talk about that at another time. But we need to make sure that we're looking at this and addressing it in a fashion that's going to be where everybody can benefit from it. I thank you for your time this evening, and I look forward to a response in a way that some of the things that I've mentioned that could be done. And I look forward to working with you all in that regard and with others to try to make this happen for us. Again, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Anyone else wishing to speak to council?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Council. Excuse me. My name is Louis Watkins. I live in Sumter County, Broad Street. And one of the things I've been trying to focus on is a complaint number, a system, a telephone number where people can call, the citizens can call in complaints. And one of the reasons why I feel it's very important is because it can give you an idea of what's needed. Since I've been coming to the meetings, the city council and the county council meetings, no one have ever given a service delivery report. How many calls was made for holes in the street or some other issues. I've never seen one of those or heard one of those. I think it's very important because it could be used as a budgeting tool. That when you get all these complaints, you may get a complaint about homeless day. There may be more than 12 homeless people living in the area, maybe 50 or 100. You don't know because there's not a number where someone can just pick up the phone and call and be able to give those complaints to a city official. So I think it's very important. We discussed before, and we've addressed the issue of the bridge or the problem with people crossing the street. And Mr. Myers is correct, 100%. We've heard it before. We've been hearing it since 2005. I think we need to do something about it. We need to establish a system, a central system where we can find out what people are thinking and what's on people's mind and how we can be aware of it. Like I said before, my mother used to say, either people don't know or they don't care. So I think if we give people an opportunity to tell us something that we need to know, then we can show them that we care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Anyone else wishing to speak to council? Anyone else wishing to speak to council?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Let me close this first.
He's coughing, I got to do it.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn.
I heard you started coughing.
Hi, Freddie.
Don't look at me.